Wondering how your mindset affects your life? How to bring more energy into your business and life? Millions of people around the world ask these same questions daily. You are in the right place. Learn practices that will help give your life the meaning and success you've been searching for. Welcome to the Charge Podcast, teaching you how to create habits around real goals every day. Practical life advice from those who made it. Here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
When running a small business, you face new challenges every day. There are so many distractions during the daily grind. You feel overwhelmed and frustrated. Everyone should have the ability to reach their full potential in business and life. The Ascend Mastermind Peer Advisory Board will give you access to other like-minded individuals to share your challenges with and hold you accountable. It will help you move from stagnant to growth and give you more freedom in your business and life. Each quarter, we'll tackle a new area of the positive culture blueprint: health, connections, wealth, and even contributions. Imagine your business growing without you being stuck in the day-to-day operations. Imagine your next family vacation and you're fully present. Imagine having the freedom and flexibility you desired when you became a business owner. It's time to move from your imagined future and turn it into reality. You can have it all: a profitable business, impactful relationships, and even family time. So go to thechargepodcast.com and click on the link for your free discovery call to see if you qualify for the Ascend Mastermind today. Welcome, Chargers. We're glad to have you back again for this week for another great podcast. Can you believe we are already in the second quarter? I'm telling you, 2022 is going to fly by, but you know what? It's what you do with each day that matters. And today we've got a great guest with us, Tim Redmond, and I'm excited to share him with you. But I'm going to bio him in afterwards, but I want him first to share us. Tim, what problem are you going to solve for our listeners today?
Well, I work with small business owners. So if you're a small business owner, tune up. What we do is we come in and we optimize your marketing, your sales, your operations, your business systems so that you make significantly more money, more profits, and you get the business less reliant on you as the owner. So the business, we believe the number one purpose of the business is to serve the owner. Now, we want to serve the customers and you want to do that well. Otherwise, the business won't serve you. But the number one purpose of your business is to serve you, the owner.
Well, you can tell why I wanted to have Tim on the podcast, because we're both entrepreneurs and business owners. And for over 35 years, Tim Redmond has been growing highly successful businesses, including his work at PriceWaterhouseCoopers, growing a software company from 2 to 400 employees, then selling it to Intuit, and helping thousands of business owners gain time and financial freedom. Tim is also an author and a speaker throughout the world whose leadership maxims have been featured in John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Tim also runs a nonprofit, Redmond Leadership Institute, that trains pastors, business leaders, and government officials in developing countries. Tim works with all kinds of business owners with a variety of beliefs. For those who request it, he provides a biblical framework around every growth principle he implements. Tim is madly in love with his hot wife, Sandy, and his 4 above average children. He is a wicked harmonica player. Oh, may have to see if he's got his harmonica with him today. Tim also loves reading, playing tennis, and chasing his wife around beautiful resorts. Tim, it is great to have you on the Charge Podcast. Welcome.
Yeah, this is awesome to be here, man. I love the name of your podcast too. Just charge, let's take charge yourself up. I mean, you can go all kinds of ways with that. I love it.
Well, our listeners know today that they got 2 charged up guys, so they're going to get really reinvigorated. If you're not, we're going to have you charged up by the time this is over, because I love talking about small business owners. And let's admit, the last couple of years have been tough. And for some small business owners, the growth has been good. I've had some clients that's done that, but the challenge has been the people side behind it. So we'll really get into that. But I know from your experience, you've had a lot of things you've seen. What are some of those common problems that you see and where you can kind of make a recommendation to really help these business owners in the areas, either sales, marketing, operations? I know you cover the gamut. I'll let you decide how you want to take it. What's some things, common problems that business owners see?
Well, I find that a lot of people waste money in marketing, a lot of pain. When I say, hey, how many have spent money in marketing and you've absolutely loved it, was worth it? Well, there's going to be some that say, yeah, it was good, but most of us have wasted money on marketing. And one of the biggest reasons here is because we start out not really defining what Seth Godin calls the purple cow. What makes us unique? You know, he's driving in leaving Paris and in a book he wrote 20 years ago, and his kids are in the back and they pass a farm and he says, look at the cows, and the kids go crazy. And after about 5 farms, Seth goes, look at the cows. They go, yeah, we've already seen them. But if there was a bright, shiny purple cow in the middle of that, they'd still be talking about it 20 years later. So, he said, if you're not remarkable, you're invisible. And so there's a lot of folks that we work with, service businesses, lawyers, doctors, CPAs, contractors, home builders, plumbers, all these kind of people. They think, well, gosh, we've got hundreds of other people that compete in the same field right here in my own town. They don't take time to make themselves unique. What makes them stand out? Why should people choose them versus somebody else? The second thing, my friend, they don't make it easy to take the first step. Which they don't have what we call a no-brainer offer. It's like if you're doing landscaping, well, we'll give you a 3D design of what you want before we even start. Well, that people are like, gosh, I love to see that. So there's a lot of different things that we bring people through. And then once we get clear on that, then we can get into the selling process and increase their closure rates.
Yeah, I think that's really the key is, marketing. So many people struggle, and business owners struggle in that area, but that's how you attract those clients. And really they say, well, I'm not an expert in that area. Well, you don't have to be the expert, but you got to find people that are, otherwise you've got a problem that right out the gate. And really a lot of times we want our problem that we have, we want more clients. And we forget sometimes to think the other way around. We've got to solve their problem to get the answer out there.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing how many coaches reach out to me. I don't really coach coaches. There's a lot of companies out there that are coaches coaching coaches to coach coaches. But it's amazing how many even coaches and consulting firms says, hey, we need help with marketing. And I said, well, let's go back to the purple cow. Let's go back to your no-brainer offer. Let's go back to your sales workflow. Let's go back to some of the real basic things that has caused us to be really just a booming coaching business ourselves with over 150 clients. We're scaling up right now, even the middle of it right now has really been fun.
That's great. Well, the other thing that we want to talk about is really kind of some of them real life examples, because, we can talk in generalities, but the challenge is what's some of them real life examples? And I know you have had on your website, I was checking out your website, you got quite a few of them, but being able to take these service-based businesses or any business and really moving them from where they're at to really increasing that. Can you share with us, Tim, maybe an example?
Yeah, I've got probably about 314 examples. One comes to mind as a plumber in Denver. Actually, it's two brothers-in-law, and they're partners. They were doing about $90,000 a month, so not a bad business. And but they were spending about $30,000 a month in marketing, and just about 4 months, between 3 and 4 months, we were able to reduce their advertising down from $30,000 down to $13,000. They put $17,000 in their pocket, and then in the course of the last 2 years, we got them grown from $90,000 a month to over $600,000 a month. When I talked to them, they're kind of in the middle of a job because they were working literally 80 and 90 hours a week nonstop and didn't have much to show for it at the end of each month. They're now working about 40 hours a week. I was talking to one of the partners that was vacationing in Costa Rica, razzing his brother-in-law for, hey, listen, sometime you'll be able to enjoy the life the way I am. And so they're both taking time to make the business work for them, pursuing what they want. And it's just been a blast. So that's one plumber in Denver, Better Plumbers, what the name of the company here, if people want to check it out. I've got tons of other examples here. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And I think one of the challenges is a lot of business owners get in that stagnant mode. Their business is stagnant. So it really creates a challenge because they're for that growth side of it's there. And really that freedom of time becomes a real issue. I talk about that too. And one of the things I see all the time is they're just drowning in the amount of time they're putting in their business. And really, do you feel that in most of your areas that you see is a lot of times it's some of the systems that's in place that are not in place, I should say, that creates that greatest challenge?
Yeah, really, if you want to build wealth, you want to build your business. To build your business, to build wealth, your primary focus is building a team. And the team has got to be built around systems they implement. So whether you're there or not, here I am in Arizona. I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, considered by some clueless people to be the center of the universe. It's not even close. But I'm here with my wife in Arizona, in Fountain Hills, Arizona, loving life here, and chasing her all around. As a matter of fact, after we're done with this, I'm going to have a breakfast somewhere of her choice. So, the idea is you've got to be real clear with the team you build and the systems you want them to implement. And the simpler we make it, like I call genius is the far side of complexity, but it's brought as simple as you can through a lot of trial and error, which I've spent a lot of mistakes, even in my own business. And so it really is just a matter of implementing those systems, implementing and training your team to implement them. And it really, the rest is easy.
Yeah. And I think that's the real key. And that's really what it comes down to, because if you want to move from stagnant to growth, your systems will really benefit you in that process, because now you can allow anyone to be able to do that. So when you bring people in, you've got a way to onboard them. And that's what I hear all the time. Too many times the business owner is doing everything and they think that's the strategy. Instead, you do it through people, but you do it through a system to be able to make there. I see that mistake all the time, and it really stagnates growth. And, you can't get out of that. I'm just like your example you gave, you would have not been able to move them from 90,000 to the number that you were able to with them doing it the same way. Because
right.
Yeah. Maxed out on time.
And it is interesting because when you talk about a business going stagnant, it goes stagnant because we get bored with our job. Well, what's interesting is we warn people, listen, we want to get your business as predictable and boring as we can, but it doesn't withdraw your heart from it. Whenever you pull your heart away from it, it begins to falter in some way. So sometimes we're bored. Sometimes we lack the focus. We lack a daily routine of power planning where we get real clear on what is it I need to alert the team to, challenge the team to. Are we making real clear our expectations? Are we throwing the 3 W's to it? What is it that needs to be done? Who owns it? When's it going to be done by? So these kind of basic things, if people will implement them on a daily basis, it's caused my company just to explode. As I like to say, casualness creates casualties. And so we look for what might be casual in your business, and we drive that out and replace it with a level of excellence.
Yeah, that makes all the difference in the world. Now, you wrote a book for business owners called The Power to Create. Can you share with us really what was the reason behind the book? I'll ask you, but also then what would someone get out of it if they read your book?
What good. Okay, so I wrote the book for business owners and pastors and really anybody that leads an organization. Now, I did it from a biblical point of view. I don't throw anything down anybody's throat here, but I use Bible verses to explain principles of growth. And I first of all began with redefining what wealth is. We think wealth is something we gather and we store up. I look at wealth as from the first verse in the Bible. In the beginning, God created. So, we're not just, it's not just a principle book, it's a pattern book. So in the beginning of our day, in the beginning of our business, we're to create towards and not react against. And so as we begin to create things, we begin to look at things differently. We begin to get different results. So I redefine wealth as a creative process. You create something of value to serve other people with it. So it has worked in Africa. It's worked in Australia. It's worked in Russia. St. Petersburg and Moscow and Kiev. I actually went to Kiev not this week, but a few years ago. And I've tried it all over the world and really training people to look at wealth as something you create. Wealth is not something that comes to you. It's something that flows from you, where you can actually begin to do it now, regardless of your economic situation or regardless of the challenges you're looking at in your business.
Yeah, because that becomes the real key is what's the value that you bring in each one of those areas. So I love that. Now, you've seen a lot of different things, Tim. And I think the last couple of years I talked about in my opening, it's been challenging for a lot of small business owners. And sometimes it's not about how much business is coming in, but how they can really get it transacted, because with the challenge with some getting people and some of the things that come in there. If you were talking to a business owner today and they came to you and told you, well, I just can't do anymore, I'm maxed out, or, whatever the challenge is, what would you kind of share with them to really get them thinking in a different direction?
I would first of all start with a fire of desire. Now, sometimes when we lack desire, we lack the fire that really stirs up our desire. And I'm not going to go into a rap. That would be embarrassing. I'm a white guy that can't jump. So I don't know if that's politically incorrect. You can take that off your podcast. I say a lot of politically incorrect things here, and I don't mean to, but, so I would start with saying, well, what do you want? What do you want your business to do for you? Where do you want your business is like a vehicle. And so where do you want it to take you? And so get real clear with what is it you want and what do you want your business to do for you? And then we can start to reverse engineer. That's what we do in our coaching process. In the growth plan, that's the initial thing. That's exactly what we do during that process. So, I would start with, what do you want? And I would lean into them a little bit. And then I would ask them, well, what have you done, or how are you actively pursuing that now? And what have you tried? And then that's where, as a coach that's coached over 2,000 business owners on a one-on-one basis here in my organization, we got a number of coaches, I've already solved problems that they haven't even run into yet, or they're maybe in the middle of right now. I've already solved it hundreds of times. And so that's where, I actually even hire coaches all the time, because I believe in getting help. The best get better because they have coaches. And so that's some of my response back to that question.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, because it's really getting them to get clear on what do they want out of it. And I love your analogy as a vehicle. Where do they want them to take them? Where do they want to go forward with that? Well, Tim, before we get to the recharge round, one thing I think you shared on your notes that you would give our listeners who are business owners a gift worth over $2,500. And I guess I would like you share how can they get that valuable gift?
Well, what the gift is it's a growth plan. We actually go through and we analyze your business. We get real clear on what the model is. We actually create a new business model for you based on what your goal is for the next 3 years. In the third year, how much revenue do you want? How much profit do you want to get? And then we get real clear with that model, and then we will provide them at least 8. Usually it's 8 to 15 concrete action steps that we take. And they're so clear and so profound that it will generate at least $100,000 of additional net profits in the next 12 months. So we typically charge that we typically charge $2,500 for that. If they'll identify your podcast or leave you a Google review or leave you a rating there with Apple Podcasts, however they can do it, they identify with you as being with your crowd, then I will waive that $2,500 fee, and I'd be glad to provide them with a growth plan. And they can actually email me directly. I've got a whole team of 25 people that are working like crazy, because we're a coaching company that is a do-it-for-you coaching company. We implement most of what we ask you to do, because you're busy just living your life and growing your business. So, but if they'll email me at tim@redmondgrowth.com, Redmond is like where Microsoft is based, REDMOND, growth, GROWTH, tim@redmondgrowth. And they'll just say, hey, I was watching this podcast, boom, give me that free coaching session here. It's a growth plan. We actually create a model and action steps. It's powerful.
Super. I truly appreciate you doing that for our chargers, as I call them. And I will have that in show notes. So if you're running right now or exercising or cutting the grass, whatever it is, we'll cover that in chargepodcast.com. So you'll have all the information, and their website also, if you want to check that, it is redmondgrowth.com. So I'd highly recommend that. I looked at that before, some great information that Tim and his team have for you on his website. So make sure you check that out, and we'll share that at inchargepodcast.com also. Tim, it's that time. It seems like every time I get a small business person, I want to talk about small business, my time goes really quick, and I truly enjoyed it. But I've got a couple recharge round questions that I ask every guest, and I want to ask you also. As you talked about in the beginning, my podcast name is Charge. But that's a mantra that I have, is create habits around real goals every day. I'm curious, from your perspective, what habit do you think has led to success in your life?
It's the daily power planning that I do. So I hover over the chaos of my business. Don't run away from it. And I give myself a set time, place, and pattern where I go over all of my emails and text messages and all the communications. And I ask 7 questions that are unique to my business that helps me think through everything. And I've got a to-do list and a calendar. And those really important things, I'll time block them in my calendar, and everything else I'll write down on my to-do list, and we'll prioritize that to-do list for what are we going to nail down today. So just doing that power planning session here just keeps me clear and enthusiastic, and I'm ready to take on every day.
Yeah, and it really creates that focus and clarity of what you need to do. And so many business owners, they get into their business and they're always working in it versus working on it. This is just one of those ways that you can change that for you. I love that. So thanks for sharing that. The next question I have you is, we all have made mistakes. We all have failures. Those happen. We learn from them. I understand that. But I love asking guests, if you had a do-over, what would your do-over be in life? One of your mistakes.
Well, I'll tell you, I've grown a number of multi-million-dollar companies. It's been a lot of fun. Growing this coaching company has been challenging. And I'll tell you, my friend, a mistake that I made was I allowed my charm and good looks, which are very limited, as you can easily see, to bring business in. And I did not create a sales workflow. And when I created a sales workflow, I got 4 stages to it. It's the lead generation, which we have at least 3 to 5 different ways we generate leads. And then I have an exact process of our initial qualify call to our growth plan call to the first coaching meeting. And we made those super clear and easy for people to take each next step. And when I did that, boom, my business just exploded.
That is a great one. I'm glad you shared that, because I think the people that are struggling in sales, we've got to make it simple for our clients to get in. And really, a lot of times that's through a very clear process that allows that to happen. And a lot of times, if it's not simple, I mean, people have other options and they're going to go where it's easier. We don't have time to do a ton of research now. We want to be able to see the things we want. It's like sometimes at 9, 10 o'clock at night, people can do their research. But if you make it simple right there that they can reach out to you at that point in time, it doesn't mean that you have to answer the phone or answer the email at that time, but you make it very clear how can they get into your system. And I think that's a great one. And it doesn't matter if you're a service-based business and you're running a plumbing company, or if you're, a coaching business that you're doing. If it's not simple for them, they're not going to follow the process.
Yep.
Tim, I truly appreciate your time and that you joined us here on the Charge podcast. Well, since we're both kind of chargers and motivators and stuff, share one of those maxims that would help everyone kind of wrap up what we've talked about, because it all comes down to leadership. So since you've been quoted in John Maxwell, I've got to put you on the spot there to share.
He used one of my, I've written over 1,000 proverbs or observations. And so he got one of them. I trained a bunch of pastors down in Bogota under his program, about 600 pastors for a 3-year commitment years ago. I would say this to business owners, particularly because that's my passion, is you can widen your reach by narrowing your focus. Don't try to be everything, all things to all people. You can widen your reach by narrowing your focus. Be the best in the world at a very particular thing. Cause you to say no to a lot of things, but as you become the best at something, you begin to stand out in that remarkability that Seth Gooden talked about, and more people get knocking on your door.
Well, I'm glad I asked that question, because right there was some gold nuggets, folks. So I truly appreciate Tim joining us today. And I'm going to leave you with that again. That thought there, a lot of great things that we talked about, but widen your reach and basically narrow that focus. And for business owners, for any of us really in life as a leader, that can really make a true difference to you. So Chargers, as you go forward, I want you to really take action. Decide where are you going to create that value in your business each and every day. And when you create value, your business is going to have those opportunities. But really remember, those systems and processes allow you to get there. And check out their website. It's redmondgrowth.com. We'll have all the notes. Tim's given you a great opportunity there of $2,500. All you have to do is say, you heard this on the Charge podcast, and they're going to waive that fee for you. So reach out to him. And Tim, give that email address one more time.
It's tim@redmondgrowth.com. TIM.
It's really tough. It's really tough, So that'll be on the website. Check chargepodcast.com. We'll have all that information there. Chargers, if you know another small business owner, this is one of those podcasts where you hit the 3 little dots on your app and you share it with them. You can send it through a text message and say, hey, I just listened to this podcast. You really need to hear this. This may help your business. And then you'll see that you'll make a difference, and they'll appreciate that you're passing that podcast on to them. Thanks again, Chargers, for being here. We'll have another great guest next week. Make it a great day.
This podcast is ended, but your life doesn't just stop. To continue your inspiring journey, head over to chargepodcast.com and access all the tools and resources mentioned on today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing with somebody who may also benefit from the advice provided. That's chargepodcast.com. Until next time, charge in business and life.